This conference will now be recorded.
I'd like to approve the minutes of our regular meetings of November and February. We don't have January yet,
You don't,
but we're working on it.
you don't have James?
No. Moved by Jason, second. Emily, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Carried. We have a few presentations tonight. Our annual end of the year report, Lori Fitzgerald will give us a wrap up.
A couple months late, but
Development.
had a few things to do. All right, hopefully everybody got the documents and had a chance to look at them, so because I don't want to waste your time going through the whole thing. We structured the report this year to really give an overview to everybody of what the commission does, what our purpose is, to help gain a better understanding for both boards of what it is that we're doing, particularly because there's a lot of new members who don't remember what happened in 2014. So basically our charge is from the village and town boards to implement the comprehensive plan. So currently we're working against the comprehensive plan from 2014. And the sections from that plan, as you can see in the document. We also provided for you a document on committees and structure of the organization to give you a sense of how we work. Obviously, we serve at the pleasure of the village and town boards. There are 4 standing committees: appearance, arts, housing, and then community day. Inside that document is an explanation of what each of those committees does and an overview of who is on them. The first 2 are stakeholder committees, so it's organizations who are members, and then they appoint the individuals within those organizations to represent at the meetings. There's also ad hoc committees. One of those committees, so communications, for example, which worked on the redo of the website. Also, communications was part of the land use code committee, which is a standing committee, but there was also a communication component to that to do the public meetings for the suggested changes for the short-term rental law. Government efficiency, a couple of other things that you'll see there. The environmental committee, which is our hope to rejuvenate this year. The commission can take up to 10, has a mission to take up to 10 members. Currently, we have a relatively small membership. We still haven't confirmed with Mike Butler if he'd like to be renominated again for another term. So his term has expired. We're in the process of trying to find new members and trying to really re-engage the community in the work that the Development Commission and all of its committees do. So that's a big part of what we'd like to accomplish for this year.
So you don't need anyone like reaffirmed or anything?
I don't, only because I don't know what Mike wants to do.
Okay.
So I wasn't able to get to him in the past couple of months. He's not answering. He's skiing. So the priorities you can see from the 2014 plan are really open space, government efficiency, community resources and facilities, housing and economic development, environment and sustainability, as well as mobility. As I alluded to a little bit ago, one of the real goals of 2023 is to improve engagement for the commission, both to improve engagement from and with the village and town boards, as well as with the community. So one of our primary projects for this year is going to be the visioning process, a robust visioning process for redoing the comprehensive plan. So we are in the process, we put out an RFP to hire a consultant to help us with that plan. We have some seed money from the village and the town, plus we just got a $98,000 grant to hire this consultant to do this visioning process. We're very interested in having a tremendous amount of community input. While we think that the things that we need to be focused on are not considerably different from 2014, we want to make sure from the community that we're right about that before we invest all the time and effort into doing things that the community doesn't consider important. Or if they have a slightly different point of view, on what it is that we plan on doing. We want to make sure that we hear that from all of the different stakeholders. I'm not going to really go through all the 2022 accomplishments. There's quite a few. I think even we were surprised when we put them down on a piece of paper. Obviously, the work of the Land Use Committee on amendments to the suggested amendments to the Land Use Code, the short-term rental recommendations, work on hiring consultants and working on the new comprehensive plans, the Housing Committee report, which that committee put a ton of work into that report. That committee needs revitalization. It really needs a committee chair. And then, Emily's helping us work with some projects on that as we go forward, which we'll get to. The Appearance Committee has been working a lot on Peacock Park and executing against the master plan for that, as well as the beach fence, dock replacement, and some other things. And we'll have some suggested initiatives for that going forward in 2023. Community Day was a big success this year with 500 people and 2 dinosaurs. There were no dinosaurs last year, so it was up quite a bit. There were quite a few more organizations in the nonprofit pavilion, and a lot of grant money and funding from sponsorships, et cetera. So the continued success of that is great engagement for the community. The Arts Alliance did an inventory with Skidmore College on the Olympic art, which we reported on. If you need that report, let me know. And we're doing a new, this semester, we're working with them again to further that plan. We're also working with the local school districts to do some street art projects as well. And we're advising on some public art in the Peacock Park plan as part of that plan. I know that Dean was working with you guys on the recommendation for a West Valley mobility improvement and some sidewalk concepts, working on the initiation process for LEED certification and an update to that, the Communications Committee and the website, which I mentioned earlier, and then the Climate Smart Communities Task Force working on the village certification plan for that. So the proposed initiatives for 2023 are our thoughts on what we'd like to accomplish. They are kind of prioritized here, but not necessarily set in stone. What we're looking for is to get input from the boards on what do you want those proposed initiatives to be from your perspective? What do you consider the priorities? Is there anything we're missing? Is there anything we should just not do? Or are there things that you think we should do different or prioritize different? So for us, the very first thing is that the update to the comprehensive plan, getting that public input, getting that visioning process done, and then in the meantime, continuing to work on the implementation of the 2014 plan. On housing and economic development, really identifying a chair for that housing committee is going to be crucial to revitalize that and continue to do the research on the deed restriction program that we're investigating based on what we've seen from Vale and Deed and from out in Old Forge. Government efficiency, court consolidation, which I guess there's an opportunity to do that come April. And then reevaluating the structure for park maintenance and potentially reconsidering consolidation of that effort as it was in the past. For community resources and facilities, looking at ways to provide affordable childcare. I know that this board's had some conversation about that, so we'd like to be helpful in supporting those efforts. Social connectivity and use of the beach house. Continuing to grow and develop Community Day. Maybe we can get 5 dinosaurs now.
I think it's space this year, so it's astronauts.
Astronauts, gotcha. And then evaluating and improving access to facilities and natural resources. For example, being able to get personal watercraft onto Mirror Lake, and then looking again at historic bike tour, the walking tour, etc. From an open space perspective, we want to continue to work on Peacock Park. We did request a grant to do the walkway and the fencing. The grant was declined because it didn't have enough of an environmental impact. But we intend to go back and get grants to do the retaining wall as well as building a secondary boat launch down in that park. We want to evaluate updates and improvements to Teddy Bear, Jutraw, and Mill Pond parks. We talked with Rotary Club, who is very interested in partnering with us, and they have access to funds for that purpose, as well as working with the Rotary Club on landscaping and gardening in those places. Continuing to work on bus shelters, revitalizing tree board as an example. We're going to continue to work on the LEED certification process. We're going to revitalize the environmental committee, working on things like dark skies, but also doing a recycling analysis, and working on the protection of natural resources for both Mirror Lake and Lake Placid with the Watershed Association and the Shore Owners Association. For mobility, working on the complete street plan, sort of dovetailing off the West Valley conversation, transportation improvement initiatives, and then we'll continue to work on communications and better engagement. Public art, we are working, as I said, with Skidmore this semester to do some more investigation into the Olympic art to understand more about each individual piece and its meaning. We are working on the street art project. We also have a couple of mural projects that are being run by the committee at this point as well. And then appearance is going to continue to work on continuity of look and community brand identity. Having fencing that looks like it all works together, sidewalks that match each other, etc. So those basically are our recommendations. So I'm here to hear your feedback if you have it.
Want me to go first? Do you want to go first?
Well, I've already had some input on it, but I was just gonna say, when you put it all down on paper, it really is an amazing accomplishment. So thank you.
You're welcome.
And to the other 5 active board members. And we really need some more board members and commissioners.
And there are a lot of people on the committees who aren't part of the commission itself, but all of the committees and the commission are really needing extra bodies and extra blood, more engagement, and I think just new ideas as well to make sure that we're covering everything we should. So.
All right, thanks, Lori. Olympic art. I don't know if your arts committee might be interested in being involved, but this board has allocated $20,000 just for a cosmetic upgrade at the Olympic torch. We've done landscaping around it, really just cut trees out from around it. The base of it is in tough shape. I've talked to the masons that actually put it up 44 years ago, and we're thinking of taking the facing off that base and trying to come up with a new product, whether it's, I call it lick and stick, river stone, flat stone, whatever. But there might be an avenue for the arts community to be involved in that and add a flair to that base that would tie things in nice.
Yep, and I can have that conversation. We're going to meet, I think, maybe next week or the week after, and we can add that to the agenda. There'd definitely be an interest in doing that.
Another item, when you talked about doing a recycling analysis, I'd hope you'd consider involving Shannon from down there, who knows all the latest trends and what is attainable and what is a loss of time. Because recycling is, I don't want to call it a joke now, but it is not.
I'm gonna go back to the glass crusher conversation.
Yeah, that's number one. Well, it is not.
And believe it or not, glass crusher is ordered and almost will be here in the spring on the county level.
Okay, good.
County.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, well, that's okay.
But it'll
Yeah.
be usable, trucking, I mean, it's
Yeah, there's no money. It used to be
$170,000.
a sellable product. And
Yeah,
Sure.
no longer a
You can't even give it away now.
Thank you for your offer to be involved in this daycare initiative. You'll be welcomed with open arms because two of us can't go down every road.
Right.
We're in very early stages of collecting data.
Okay.
But you'll be invaluable to helping us, Lori, and thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like you to maybe expand on beach and watercraft on Mirror Lake, like what that idea is.
Well, I think that and I don't really know, this kind of came up as we were writing it, this report and coming up with ideas at the last minute. But since the sidewalk redo on that side of the lake, on the side of the lake up by the pub, there used to be several spaces where you could load and unload your personal watercraft. Those spaces are gone. There is one space there that more often than not is not there. So there's not really a place where you can pull up your car, unload your kayak, put it into the water. And the kayak rack on the far side, there's really virtually no access to that other than down the stairs from the beach house. So I don't know how we figure out what that access is.
Well, let me offer this so it's on your list.
Mhm.
Just today, I was approached by the village on behalf of the fire department,
Mhm.
who is trying to come up with a plan for at least a building just to the left of the road that goes down to the left of the toboggan chute
Mhm.
for first responders. They would like a building for a small boat to be able to access emergencies.
Mhm.
To further that, I plan to address this board for something a bit more involved that might include a second story to watch toboggan,
Mhm.
and certainly a public access small craft launch would work in that site.
That's part of the master plan.
Uh, Well, we'd have to do that with designated parking spots in and out.
Because part of the master plan that Clarkson did for that park has a boat launch and a
Well, I
dock
remember that.
down by where that kayak rack is.
Right,
That's gonna take some work and a little bit of time because we have to take care of the erosion along the shoreline, which
Oh,
there and on
listen,
the other
take
side.
a little
So,
bit of engineering
Yeah,
and figure
it's
out how
gonna-
to hold everything back,
right,
because it would be
and get through all of the
exposed.
hoops, APA, DEC, et
Sure.
cetera, et cetera. So, but that is a high priority for us for next year, if that's a high priority for everybody else.
Sure,
And then those buildings become part of it. But you're right, it does necessitate some dedicated parking just for loading and unloading.
right,
Because all the spaces on Parkside are permit parking.
right.
And there is no, like I said, there's that one space is all that's left on the other side of the road. So
I'd say change is something we're quite used to around here, so,
we're getting used to it.
yeah. Anyway, great report, and including all the new members in that second set that you sent through
Mhm.
helped me out tremendously.
Okay.
To me, it's evident your Arts Commission seems to have the most members in it.
Yeah, we have a tremendous amount of engagement. We have only 5 voting members, but we have quite a few ad hoc members. And so the art community is very excited and, working through, once we get this street art project through the conceptual idea with the teachers, which is where it is now. And then we are having some conversations about 2 sites for murals. So
Good.
we'd like to really be able to get underway.
Anyone else?
No, just an excellent report.
Thanks.
Thank you for the many, many hours to keep it rolling.
Will do. Got a few more of those now. Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
If you've got anything else, just let me know.
Jeff, you got here in time. I guess you're up, buddy.
Oh, man, okay. Get into the hot seat now.
Sure.
You're up.
All right. What do I do now?
Well, I was just gonna ask, you were looking at bylaws? Is that what
Well,
they're?
No, really, my impression for tonight, Jeff was gonna just brief us on Constitution, if you will, and where they're going with bylaws,
Okay.
and kind of a timeline on an organization state. And as, if any of you don't realize, Jeff Aaronstone and Rick Preston are members of a 5-member executive body to help us bring back the original Sports Council that was formed in 1928. I don't want to steal your thunder, so go ahead.
That was a great introduction.
Yeah,
Good Lake Placid Sports Council.
yeah,
Yes, correct. Thank you,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, and as far as I'm concerned, have you guys all gotten the bylaws? Because I think they're ready to be moved forward on.
sure.
If you guys are ready to move forward on it, and I'm mostly here just answer any questions, any lingering questions. But as far as I know, the bylaws are ready to be moved forward on as soon as you feel it's necessary.
Rick, was there a reason we left like bylaws off the agenda? Was there some final modifications you wanted to make?
I believe those were all made, Derek.
Okay.
And were those acceptable, Jeff?
Yep, yeah, the
Okay.
ones we,
I think another thing that might be helpful is to just, the two goals, if you can recall them, of the Lake Placid Sports Council for the coming year. If you could just review those, that would certainly be helpful to give a direction on this council.
yeah, so, what's sort of been discussed, for the next year is, one would be to, try to show some more volunteer appreciation, let's say, for the people who've been, helping with sporting events, and maybe involved with community days or something like that. And Val and I briefly talked about that, very briefly. But, Lake Placid Sports Council doesn't want to be another organization duplicating an effort. We want to sort of be pulling other organizations, helping kind of pull things together, work together with organizations. So, some way to show that, all these people have been, especially with the FISU games that just happened, who worked so hard to kind of help that happen, show that we, as a town, we do appreciate what they did, and hopefully keep them engaged with sporting events going into the future. So that's one initiative. The other initiative would be, to help assist with kind of unifying calendars, and so that they're more easily reachable, or, maybe one source of sporting events calendars that can be looked at to know all the different things that are going on.
I think that's great, and because you'd be actually an arm of the park district, you'd be working closely with that manager.
Yeah, and where that would be housed, I mean, that's conversations to be had. There's some other people in the room to probably talk to about that as well, but instead of trying to, maybe try once again a unifying effort to try to pull, have several different calendars, see if we can, make a cohesive effort to make one calendar.
I think those are great objectives, and they will be just the first two of many.
Mhm.
I think I'm more excited for this thing to kick off than you are, and I know you're nothing but a bundle of energy, we all get it. But you're gonna help revive a community effort that is evident right now. There are so many good things happening just in the core of the community that I can see people stepping off the sidewalk and saying, hey, I want to be a member of this. And the one part that you recognized right from the beginning is called volunteer appreciation. I promise you, this board will be behind you 100% in being able to form a system that does thank people, because we have so many things in this community that would never happen without people stepping up. And I'm proud that you offered right from the beginning to renew this Lake Placid Sports Council.
Yeah.
So I guess as far as an official acceptance of the bylaws, figure it done, but in an official capacity, because it's not here and I haven't printed it and put it in front in its final version in front of the board.
I don't think we have a clean copy.
Yeah, we'll do it April.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it up to you and Rick to get that to us.
Okay.
I'll take care of that. I'll get the clean copy to you, as long as Jeff, you and Brian didn't have any changes to the
No,
copy that I sent out. So,
No, I think we were good there.
great.
And I can tell you on the side, the group, the organizers of lacrosse are excited. This year is too early, but by next year, they would like to incorporate Lake Placid Sports Council.
Great.
Not only in an acceptance for some help, but to contract with you as well, which is a great recognition right off the bat. We talked about different clubs that you would probably help with their organization, like the Outing Club, or maybe you'll be involved in some form at our new Nordic program out at Craigwood. So it's just an exciting process, and thank you.
Yeah, and as you know, and I think everyone else knows, I mean, so there's there's a 5-member executive committee that actually act as commissioners for the Parks Department. But the way it's structured is, and it has been structured forever, is that there's a broader membership, kind of more of a commission of, where we'd expect, the organizations you just listed, if anyone's interested in being a member of this, sports council, then they would be able to be. So we could, have a fairly large membership where it's sort of just, coming together, discussing consensus building, sharing resources and stuff like that, as sort of our broader, meetings.
And that's where this calendar you propose would really be beneficial to the whole community.
Yeah, and I bring up that historic aspect, and that is actually just another thing to kind of give you a heads up about, is that I have talked to the Historical Society, and they're interested in kind of putting together a report of what the council has done since 1928,
Sure.
different ways and stuff like that, and kind of put a historical perspective and the different things that it's been involved with over time.
That's great. Questions, fellas, ladies?
No, I just want to reiterate, one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to is developing as large a possible volunteer base. We've had one for years. It's gone down, it's gone up. Right now it's down. So as we know, and not only I think you can bring it up to where it was recently, but even further, because, that's a big to me.
Yep, it's definitely listed as number one.
Well, very good. Many thanks. So we'll wrap it up. There's no reason you can't stay in gear, though, with anything you want to move forward on. So consider Constitution and bylaws virtually accepted. And we just need an official account in front of us. Okay, in April.
Yeah, just do that.
Okay,
Good deal.
great.
Many thanks.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
On to the Relief Committee. I'm guessing the system is the same.
That's gonna go up first.
Okay. System remains the same. I think.
Good man.
Again, I'm Matt Ellenahue. Nice to see you all. So I'm going to talk about 5 grant recommendations we're making. And maybe so alphabetically, I'm at the top of the list here, Adirondack Land Trust. Maybe I'll cluster 2 together as kind of strategic information grants. That being the Adirondack Action Grant and the Adirondack Research Consortium Grant. They're a little different from the public recreation grants that I'll be talking about. So let's talk about Adirondack Action. The request is, the total project cost is $62,000. They requested $48,600. We're recommending a grant of $22,500. We see this as an important project. I mean, they're asking for North Elba support ostensibly, but this is a park-wide issue, and this can drive a lot of reporting out to the Adirondack communities about road salt usage. In terms of water quality, in terms of best practices for maintaining roads and mitigation of salt, this looks like a good bet in terms of a grant investment. We're particularly talking about funding the marketing portion of this. We believe that operationally Adirondack Action can cover the cost of the consultant and the research component. We're looking at the messaging behind this and sort of the spreading of information. We think that's a highly valuable investment.
Very good.
Okay, any questions? The other one I wanted to talk about in terms of a nice informational investment is the Adirondack Research Consortium. This is about the conference costs that they want us to help with. And in particular, they want to, at this particular conference, to address the climate change legislation that's coming down the pike from the state. They want to bring in folks from the Climate Change Task Force to talk about these issues, to educate local officials and townsfolk about the impact of legislation. They cited in particular heat pumps and electric vehicle usage. This will be about building codes and building upfits and about energy efficiencies. So we feel this is a low-cost grant. Total project is $4,750. Their request was $2,500. We're recommending the full $2,500 request. That's to cover the hotel registration and travel costs for the guest speakers. So we feel, again, this is a good way to educate the community about an issue that's going to impact the way we do business.
Matt, how many sessions are there? Or is it a one
That is-
scheduled?
I know this is a component of the conference. I don't know about, anyone remember the number of sessions devoted to the climate change legislation?
Yeah, it's a multi-day event.
Multi-day.
Okay.
So there'll be sections of the entire conference that'll cover this.
Okay.
See, this is where I went with electronics. 'Cause you couldn't have
Yeah,
all this
yeah.
printed. May 17th and 18th.
Okay, so that's once you got me.
Oh, no, that's not the first one, no. It's not.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
This is a
No
little
worries.
inside.
It takes a village, doesn't it?
We have to- we have to-
We're counting things.
Town. Stand corrected. Okay, so we're good with that. The next three I'm going to talk about are these are really good sort of blockbuster tourism land recreation projects that we think will add to the economy, will drive tourists, traffic, and just add extra great offerings to town. One is the old standby. The Adirondack Land Trust wants to help out with upgrading the Cobble Mountain Trail system, adding a new entrance on Mirror Lake Drive in between Whitney Road and the Northwood driveway on Whitney Road. Good wheelchair access to the kiosk and the registration booth for the trailhead system. Then they also, if you've been up there, there's tons of trail erosion, and especially as you get up to the rock face, it's almost impassable. It's slippery. A lot of people get turned around. They want to be sure that they estimate 10,000 people utilize that trail system. They want to be sure that everyone's getting up there and experiencing that. So a worthy investment and a sort of marquee tourist destination in town. Good day hike. So we're recommending 75,000. Total project cost is 233,475.
Good.
Can I ask a quick question? I don't know if it's the former funding, but there was former funding, LEAF funding, and I don't know if it went to Adirondack Land Trust about a feasibility study for a new trailhead. Was that the same organization?
Yeah, I think this is, yes. this
So
is-
now they're actually
Carry
building
over.
what they.
Yes, yeah, this is phase 2.
Okay.
Okay. The Adirondack Rail Trail Association, the total project cost is $70,563.61 for the record. They're requesting $49,183.61, and we're gonna meet that full request. So this is a sort of second phase of the project. They want to be sure there's bike racks in Lake Placid and in Saranac Lake, and high quality ones. So we felt this was a good investment. while OSI, Open Space Institute, is making the investment in the bathroom construction in Lake Placid. There will be no bathroom facility, so they're equipping the Lake Placid end of things with portable toilets. And they'll be maintained, what do we say, on a weekly basis?
Yeah.
Weekly basis,
Yeah,
not 28 days.
The monthly thing is billing.
They said that. And I said, Jeremy,
Weekly basis. So this is cutting edge septic maintenance, okay? So as a side note, having spent some time in Falmouth, Massachusetts, where there's a public bike trail system, great investment. This is a slam dunk. The last grant I'm going to talk about is the Barketer Trails Alliance request. So the project is 40,000. There's a funding request of 25,000. We're going to meet that full request. That's our recommendation. They rounded up, and we appreciated that. There were no cents here. Look, I would say the same for the land trust. They write great grant applications, and the follow through is fantastic. They beta plans exceptionally well, and they deliver on time in their project. So we understand that mountain biking we're in a sort of a boom phase for tourist and resident use of mountain bikes and mountain bike trails, and they're adding to the system. So they're talking up the Fowler's Trail up in Saranac Lake, adding a 1.5 mile trail, and then really smart on their part to pull in new people. There's a beginner skills trail they want to add in Craigwood, and then there's to ramp up the excitement factor. Dick will be out there. We have a highly skilled trail too.
Yeah, yeah.
So
As soon as I buy a bike.
there you go. But we see these land recreation projects as just highly additive to the tourist economy.
Couldn't agree more. We have
Yeah.
extensive experience with Josh, of course, with Beta.
Yeah,
He's been in
fantastic.
Craigwood for years,
Yeah,
and as you probably read in today's.
we're gonna miss them.
Yeah. He's been such a great advocate for all of the Adirondacks. The rail trail project is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
It's so new, I think none of us can really envision the total use of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like the planning stage is good, and we are a member of one of the 4 communities along the trail to help make things work.
Yep.
And certainly this effort will go a long ways to ensuring its success. Land trust as well, like Emily said, we listened to phase 1 a year ago, and I would bet your estimate of 10,000 is low.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I've been there 10,000 times.
It's so easy.
That's for the record.
Thank you, Matt. Who's next?
Thanks, Matt.
I think I'm next.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you, Matt.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Jen.
Hello.
Jen Webb. How are you?
Very good.
I'm excited about the ones that I get to present. They're pretty good. I'm going to start with the garden club. Those ladies want to revitalize that triangle garden when you come in by the horse show. I think we all really love this project. We had a couple concerns about them being able to find a landscape architect and then just DOT approval. So their total project cost was $20,000 and they asked for 15, which we recommended, but our suggestion is that we give them a commitment letter. And then once they have DOT approval and a landscape architect lined up, then we write them the check at that time. You know, so our only concern about this was the timing. We all thought that it was an excellent project and everybody knows those ladies get it done for sure. So, and we need it. Yeah, it's the first thing you see when you drive into town. I think it's really important. Questions on that one?
No brainer.
Okay. The next one is homestead development, which, you know, I think we all are pretty supportive of. We have supported this project a couple of times already. And I think this is for the fabrication of 16 2-bedroom townhouses. Total cost is $2,603,000. I wrote down for some reason, but they're asking for 125. Like I said, we've invested in this, or we've suggested investment in this project before, but it really checks all the boxes for what this money is for. Housing obviously is a need in our community. It helps the locals, it helps the visitors. This project really, we feel like, is going to have a real positive impact, already has had a real positive impact on our community. And is actually moving forward a lot faster than I thought it would. So we had recommended the full 125 as well for this project.
Very good.
The next one is Lake Placid Center for the Arts. This one was interesting. They want a Rauku kiln, which is basically an on-site kiln right now. I don't know if any of you have young children, but they do these pottery classes, but they have to be over the course of many days because the kiln takes a long time to cure the projects. And I personally have left multiple projects there for months at a time. But what we thought was really cool about this project is it gives the Art Center an opportunity to create one-day long activities for people to do here, for visitors to do here, and locals to do here on a bad weather day. So assuming that they put this to use in the way that we think that they will, we think that this really also was a great project. The total cost is $5,000, and that was their ask. We actually only recommended $4,000 because $1,000 of their budget was staff time, and we thought we'd rather just pay for the actual kiln. So we recommended $4,000 instead of $5,000 for that project.
Good.
Questions? Okay. North Elba Historical Society, conveniently located right next to the rail trail that we were just talking about. They would like to add an accessible bathroom to the History Museum. Total cost of $65,000. They're asking for $50,000. Again, a wonderful organization. That History Museum is awesome. I've been down there a couple of times already, and I always feel like I learned something when I'm there. Obviously, accessibility is very important, and we also think that when this rail trail gets going, they'll probably get a lot more visitors than they currently get. So we also recommended the full ask, the $50,000 ask for that bathroom. But I believe that was also a commitment letter, right? Making sure that they had a contractor lined up?
Yes.
Right, so same deal. So I believe that they do, but the budget that we got wasn't from a contractor, so we are suggesting to give a commitment letter, and once they say, yes, we have a contractor and our timeline is X.
Jen, do you know if accessible hours will be increased, due to the rail trail or whatever? Because accessible hours now are different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Different days. So, in recognizing that an ADA compliant restroom is going to help with the rail trail and the added traffic, I'm hoping that somehow they'll be accessible.
Yeah, we didn't ask that question,
We didn't.
although I'm sure we can ask, I'm sure we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing, just to add what Jen's,
OSI, yeah, I think the OSI, because there are new bathrooms, OSI, that's implicit.
That's an addition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. That answers.
Yeah, I mean, the Historical Society wasn't doing it for the rail trail, but I would imagine that there's going to be increased attendance at the Historical Society
Sure.
because of its proximity to the rail trail.
Yeah.
That was kind of my.
and one thing I want to add to what Jen's saying, as we discussed, is if you recall, the Leaf Committee recommended very first round, I believe it was, for the an ADA compliant bathroom for the ambulance. And that was half this price, and that was new construction.
Yeah.
Whereas this is, they're going to rip it up, and who knows what they're going to find.
Right.
So that's why the higher amount.
Good. Thank you.
Any other questions? The Outing Club. This one, I actually really love this project. So the Outing Club, I'm sure you're all familiar. It's a lot of volunteers. They have a lot of gear, but the gear is spread out throughout the basements of the various members of the Outing Club members. So if you wanted to go kayaking or, or borrow climbing gear or whatever, you had to figure out which Outing Club member had it and then get it. And they, Jeff probably has, Jeff and Debbie probably have most of it, honestly, in their house. So what they are proposing is that they create like a gear exchange at the school. They have permission from the school has agreed to maintain the gear exchange or the gear barn. And they have a contractor lined up. It seems like everybody's ready to go. And then the goal is to put all that gear in that building, which makes it so much more accessible, not only to the outing club and their various members and tour leaders, but also all the kids at the school, and any other group that wants to go out. And I know, I mean, Jeff is here, so he can probably speak to it better than I do, but I know that their goal is to get kids out there. So anybody who wanted to use it,
They're gonna be organized.
yeah, I mean, it says right on their website, they, that they want everybody to be able to use it, visitors and locals alike. And, the program like this is really what creates the stewards that in the future, form our community. And so we really thought they had applied for this last round, but they weren't really ready. But this, I think, really they're ready now. They're ready to build. They're asking for the total project $86,000. They were asking for $48,950. And we recommended that full ask. Again, it's like, that's why we live here. And, if you want to try paddleboarding and you don't have a paddleboard, they can help you with that, and they will, so I think that that's really important, and we all really wanted to support that program. Questions on that?
No, perfect.
No,
And
maybe
you
you-
should know, we also jumped in to help that effort as well.
So that funding, some of that funding is not available.
Oh, great, that's awesome. Okay. And the last one was Lake Placid Sinfonietta, which is obviously an organization that's been around for a long time that we all support, adds a little art and music to our very sports-oriented community. They wanted to do a website redesign. Their total project was $7,880. They're asking for $5,000. They had come to us for money before for cataloging music when they completed that project, so they show that they've been able to present a appropriate scope of work and then get it completed in the time that they said they would. I think the goal of the website was to make it a lot easier to show when they were having concerts and then be able to buy tickets for those concerts. They wanted to update that. It's a little laborious now on their existing website. And we also recommended the full $5,000 for them.
Perfect.
Any questions on any of those?
No. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
So I have Lake Placid Volunteer Fire Department. Their total project was $27,362. We recommend funding the whole project. It's for the purchase of the new rescue struts and jaws of life equipment. Obviously, that benefits our community and visitors. So to us, of course, we want to support that.
Great.
North Country Community College Foundation, their total project was $150,000. They requested $150,000. We're recommending $45,000. They're asking for their the money to enhance their athletic fields. They were asking for a new school scoreboard, shelter, and nets. We are recommending the $45,000 for the portable shelters. We see that as an asset to the students of the community college, which of course we want to keep our community colleges alive and thriving. But in addition to that, the two large events that our community hosts, rugby and lacrosse, use those fields. So we thought that that would be a good investment. They currently do have a scoreboard. So, and we do think that having those portable shelters are important. If you've ever been over there in bad weather, it's
Nowhere to run.
nowhere to run. Is there any questions on that?
Nope, good idea.
The New York Ski Educational Foundation, their total project is $111,571. They requested $100,771. We're recommending $60,593. Their request is for purchasing of ski jumping equipment for the young athletes. We see this as a legacy, and of course, we need to continue to support our youth being active in the sports, the winter sports that our venues support. We all know that all sports are expensive. Ski jumping is no exception. So my understanding from talking to some of the parents that were actually on the committee, and I've talked to a couple other parents since, that the equipment is old and challenged and they do need new equipment. So we are recommending the purchase of the equipment in the application was a shed, and we are not recommending the shed. So just the equipment.
This might be a good opportunity for me to make the comment that this funding, even though the quote says helps local youth, it helps youth because many of NICEF are families that come here and live all winter for that program. So we are appealing to both visitors and locals for these ski jumping events and stuff. So NICEF is famous for attracting.
I think there was a good description in the tagline that said something like contributing to our legacy.
Exactly.
Like when we have athletes that are from here that go on to the Olympics, it's all about building a brand, and that's just something. And as someone who's brought their son to do ski jumping there who's 5, there are tons of tourists there just waiting to watch him.
Right, I know.
It's so boring.
I was just gonna say, you want my camera home when they're done? Anytime they have jumping that our guests can go to, they always go.
Yeah,
It's a huge, so from a tourism component, and then they come down, the kid's 11, and the people are blown out of their, you know, I mean, so having that youth jumping program, it's not a large leap to get to how does that benefit tourism? Because having those, when they have those Sunday jumping series and stuff like that, that's a huge boom in terms of tourism.
And we used to have a lot more of those
Yeah.
events. So by encouraging, if parents can't, which we talked about in the committee meeting, if parents can't afford this equipment, they're going to end up pulling their kids out.
Well, and the other component to this was that this particular equipment is very specialized. It's not like you can go to Cunningham's and get a secondhand pair of skis. It's just, there is not that availability that you have with other sports. So that was another thing that we took into account.
No, I think it's a good move.
Next is Paul Smith College Adirondack Watershed Institute. Their total project cost is $1 million. They asked for 300,000. We're recommending 100,000. What they're wanting to do is to build a lab, so that right now they collect any potential of that blooms to find out if they're invasive species, and they have to send them out to determine if they are or are not. These labs would help determine if the algae blooms are toxic, is what they want to determine. Because right now, our understanding is that if there's a bloom, then they're concerned about them being toxic, but they don't really know. So this purchase of this equipment would quickly identify if they are, if we're endangered, if the blooms are toxic. And of course, we long-term want to protect our region's waterways. So I probably didn't do a great job explaining that. But the end of the day is that, if we have a bloom in the middle of our high season, we want to be able to know if our waters are safe to continue to recreate in or not. And this will help support that effort, working with the DEC.
Very good.
Phew.
Yeah, the closest lab right now is Syracuse, I think.
Right. Yeah. Last but not least for me is the Pendragon Theater. Their total project is $18,500. They're requesting $9,250. We're recommending $9,250. And this is assistance with their summer program. It's a camp for the summer, and it'll allow more participation because it'll lower the cost of the camp. They have hired 2 BIPOC educators to lead the summer programs, which of course enhance diversity. But at the end of the day, arts is very important, not only to our community, but to our visitors. At Roost, we are really putting a much more focus on the arts and promoting those through our communities and to the traveler. Data shows that the traveler is looking for a diverse experience, including, theater, food, music, etc. So I thought that was an easy one.
Yeah.
It's an easy request. Any questions?
Great. Nope, they all look great to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Val's going to do the last four. You're very welcome. Thank you for your time.
Hello,
Hey, Val.
I'm a combo Emily of tech and old school. So the first one I'm going to talk about is St. Agnes School. They are continuing upgrades to their heating and cooling system. The total project ask is $97,000, and that is to do the upgrades to the gym and 3 classrooms, I believe. They're asking $23,000, which is specifically for the gym. And we recommended the full ask on that. They do have other sources of funding as well. There are a lot more seasonal residents, seasonal visitors who send their kids through the summer camp program there. And they also have a lot of requests by organizations to use that space because it is a large space. I think the examples they gave were Sinfonietta, Luge, NICEP, there's a Zumba class, all of those things, especially Sinfonietta, is a good attraction for our visitors. So we thought this was a worthwhile project. I know they did one other ask too, and similar to Beta, they were very well organized. It was done, completed. And so we feel pretty comfortable in that one, and we did recommend the full $23,000 on that one.
Good.
Are there any questions on that one?
This is an ongoing, they've started work already at the
Yeah.
HVAC, I know.
Yeah, I think they did all the wiring and everything on the first go around to get all the wiring and upgrades to be able to now install everything. I believe is what the situation is. So this would be phase 2, and they have there was a quote in there for the equipment and installation of that, and that's what the 23 was.
Good.
Next is the Village of Saranac Lake. They're proposing the installation of two art installations in their parks, Riverfront Park, Prescott Park, for a total project cost of $25,000. Riverside Park is outside North Elba, but Prescott Park is inside, and that's what they're asking for is $15,000 for the art installation in Prescott Park. We all thought this was great. Saranac Lake is really embracing its arts culture, and we all thought that was pretty nice. I like the mural they just did by the Rusty Nail. We did recommend the full $15,000 on that, and that appeals to visitors and residents alike. I would think so.
For sure.
Yeah. They're pretty well underway too. They have 35 proposals submitted already and a committee set up to review those. They also have a dedicated fund for maintenance of the art, which makes it even that much more attractive. Any questions on that one?
Any art like the bears where the fishing pole comes up missing every month?
We don't know what it's funny, the bears did come up in our conversation. Not that the fact that they lose their fishing poles, but yeah, so, and we have not seen any of the proposals, but
Okay.
we trust that they're going to select something other than bears. Next up is the Adirondack Center for Loon Conservation. That total project cost is $131,000. They've bought new space, they've moved into new space with a dedicated museum for promoting the loon conservation. It is in Saranac Lake proper, outside of North Elba, but this is something that we felt so qualified because it's an attraction that visitors here in Lake Placid will use, residents will use. It's a great rainy day substitute if they can't be outdoors, and the loon being, I think, kind of an iconic unofficial mascot of our area is something we want to support and preserve. And I think education is another component of what they want to do. So we felt pretty pretty good about this project as well. The ask was 131, or sorry, the project cost is 131, the ask was 40,000. We recommended 25, which was removing the staffing fees. There was some staff fees in there, so we went with the 25, which is for the exhibits and other equipment.
Good.
And we didn't feel it was competing. There are a couple museums. I know I had a note about the Wild Center, but this is so specific to the loons, so we didn't think that would be, that just enhances, I think, for the Wild Center. And then the last one that I have is, oh, and I should just go back, sorry, one little side note on the Saranac Lake one on the art is I'm on that Arts Initiative Committee here too, so I like the art component. All right, so the last one I have is the Saranac Lake Volunteer Rescue Squad. They are asking for support for a portable ventilator. The project cost, the quote was $24,065, and is that 5 cents? 65 cents. Sorry. No, I have my technology, I can zoom in because my eyes are getting old. They do have $10K committed, I think, from the Eline Foundation, so they're asking for $14,065.65. Our recommend was for half of that and see if they can raise the other half, so we recommended $7,000 on that one. But obviously, we want all of our emergency services well equipped. They would, they're serving North Elba residents and visitors as well, and they do the mutual aid for us. So, so that's we wanted to make sure they're well equipped.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
And I usually do, I know.
Well, I know that.
I'm impressed that I think your system gets better each time we go through this. I particularly, because of the side of the tracks I'm from, like the fact that we are recognizing a neighbor in Saranac Lake, that 25% of that village is in North Elba. I like the fact that we've dedicated money toward first responder activities, which saves all of us. I think you've done a tremendous job. I'm certainly confident that this board will pass all these tonight. Before we do that, though, I would like to respectfully ask that you leave the grants not recommended for approval open for us to review. I have a feeling after talking to Mary Jane, I might have been the one that made the mistake in not passing original applications on to the whole board. And Dick, on my behalf, asked for them to be sent. So that mistake was probably mine. You're all right, Val, but.
Okay, I was just gonna go sit down.
I'm very impressed by this process. I know all the hours you put in, mostly from reports back from Dick. So it's appreciated by this whole board and by this whole community. Receiving these occupancy tax funds to do things that are funded by the user or the visitors here and not directly from our tax base is something we can all be very proud of, the efforts we're doing to spread this money out. And I know this effort is a result of Jim and MJ bringing this idea to the legislature. I believe we're the only county in New York that does it. And it's an example that will spread across this state really fast. You wait and see. So be proud of being the initiators of this system. We support everything you do. And I look forward to a long relationship. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
So with that, I think I'll accept a motion to okay these grant applications as presented with the funding. Do I have a motion?
Well, I'd like to make that motion, and within that motion, just say, like you said, leave the unfunded applicants open.
Open for reconsideration.
Reconsideration until April 4th.
Yep.
At our next meeting. And
I'd just like a chance to review them.
I just, like you said, I make a motion that we, on the recommendations of the members of the select members of the committee, we accept 100% of their recommendations, and we just leave the denied at this point applications open for further review by the board, by the town board, until our next meeting. April
Good.
4th.
Do I have a second? Second by Emily. Any further discussion?
I just want to, just the verbiage correction of denied or just not recommended.
Did we not recommend it?
Yep.
True,
Not
true.
empowered.
You're right. And I've been using that. No, I've been using it, not recommended. I said it wrong this one time. And who catches it? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Really, thank you.
It'll be a while before next
Thank you,
year.
everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Carried.
Thank you,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you. See you later.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Hey, Jeff, this is yours.
Oh, yeah. All right. Thank you.
Do you want to introduce Peter? Dick here?
No,
no.
Oh, that's right. Well, that doesn't mean she wasn't invited.
Peter, come on up.
Okay,
Everyone
nice not to have
Peter.
an audience. But I was impressed by that presentation. It used to be a flying wild hear about all those projects. And
You know what that equated to, Peter? $734,000.
well,
Yeah.
well, this grant that I'm going to talk about is small potatoes compared to that, but yet significant in that they have more than twice the funding from last year. So last year's number for the statewide community re-grants program was like 95,000. And this year it's 210,000.
So then apparently there was some success related to last year's efforts.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like leftover COVID money or the source of this funding is NISCA, New York State Council for the Arts. And it's locally administered by the Adirondack Lake Center for the Arts, which divides, re-grants the money into 4 counties. And I'm on the North Elba side of Saranac Lake. So yes, I
The
like
other
how
side
you,
of the tracks.
yes, I like how you, but funny for, Saranac Lake especially, that, that you fall on either side of the county line. So even though the Adirondack Lake Center for the Arts administers it for the 4 counties, you have to do your programming where your fiscal sponsor is.
Sure.
So I'm here seeking North Elba to be a fiscal sponsor for me.
Right.
And some of the other prohibitions are like, well, some of the major art centers are directly funded by NISCA. So they're ineligible to be my sponsor. And then if it's, an organization that's not as established, they may not have staff, they're volunteers. So I remember former grant coordinator, who's the wife of the current one, Fred Balzac. She used to say, sometimes it's good just to get a fiscal sponsor who has nothing to do with your application or arts. That's good at administrative function.
Sure.
So that's why I'm knocking on this door. I've applied for this grant successfully to sustain Hobo Fest in its last 6 years, and that fiscal sponsor was the Rotary Foundation. Since then, I've been applying for our space, Lake Flower Landing, which is on Lake Flower Avenue, and a space that my wife and I own. And we do cultural programming there, like concerts, film screenings. We partner with organizations looking for a space. So,
And a neat signboard outside.
oh, thank you.
At different times. Yeah.
And actually, I've got a different grant to do our little marquee where you change out the letters.
Sure.
So that's going to be coming this year. I think it is really interesting that the board considers playing this function for individual applicants like myself. And I saw that it's on on your website.
Yes, because we wanted to encourage, well, the point was that we can sponsor up to 3 artists. So we wanted to make sure we made it very public.
Yeah.
That we still have 2 spots if any other artists wanted to.
And just to clarify, this grant, they've changed the name of it, and I sometimes just call it a community arts grant. It's not about funding an artist working by themselves in a studio. It has a community dynamic. So it's concerts and theater, somehow a dynamic with the
Murals.
community. Yeah, it could be a mural.
Sure.
So my interest is in concerts. Actually, one little part of this grant will probably facilitate drawing sessions where we pay the fee of a clothed model and just have, like, it used to happen at the LPCA. And it's sort of I had done it without grant funding. So I'm really proud to say that all of my grant request for the total $5,000 goes 100% towards artistic fees. And then we pick up the rest with hospitality, if the artists are from out of town, and promotional efforts and, any admin.
Sure.
So my application is usually pretty clean, that I don't take anything for us.
Emily, remind me, will that synopsis or the description come from Fred to us?
For the actual grant?
Yeah.
No, Peter will write that.
Okay, so the duties of the fiscal sponsor is to fill out kind of the boilerplate parts of the application that, will ask for your board members, your financials for the last year to prove that you're
Solvent?
Yeah, solvent, that you're responsible to take the check.
Right.
And then the second responsibility would be to distribute those funds. And it could be that I send you a request, like I have this artistic fee to pay. You can make it right out to that artist. My last fiscal sponsor made it out to us, and then I distributed those funds. The Rotary, by contrast, had a very careful grip on that and asked for a W-9 for any fee paid, whether it was $600 or more.
Do you remember how we did it for Karen?
No, but I'm sure Haley does.
Yeah.
Or Kathy.
I think we just doled it out one check.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fine. I am responsible for submitting a final report.
Right.
60 days or 30 days after the programming is fulfilled to, show a budget of, how that compares with the proposed budget and what the demographics were for the program.
This is a 1-year program.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. It keeps getting, here, the grant deadline is the 28th of this month. And, an applicant might have ideas that happened like yesterday,
Sure.
And then they would be retroactively funding. So,
Right.
So thus I'm pushing all my programming towards later in the year.
Right. Well, good. Do you reach out to other avenues for different projects?
You mean for funding?
Yeah.
Well, this year, the LPCA holding that other grant application, I am standing in that doorway. And I think this is sort of a tipping point for me that I've only been applying for this one grant. And being nudged to look at other opportunities too. Interestingly, about the LPCA, I asked, could the town of North Elba be my fiscal sponsor? And they wanted bona fide 501c3s, whereas they're both NISCA funded.
Right.
It can be a governmental agency or a quasi-governmental agency. So another interesting thing about the LPCA that doesn't have to do with our agenda here, but the LPCA is administering this statewide grant for the entire state, not just for our region, which I think was pretty interesting. That they've been selected with that responsibility. Somebody from New York City applying for
That
this.
much exposure, huh?
Can you imagine the work the pressure that their staff has
Wow.
for doing that? So, and that grant ask is like 5 and 10,000 and 10,000.
Yeah.
So the grant that we would be with a fiscal sponsor for the application is mostly for programming at Lake Flower Landing with one at Pendragon.
One at Pendragon, it's sort of serendipitously, I'm courting this prospect from Akwesasne. It's a band that they tour the country. They have great engagements. They want to break into Saranac Lake. And so we've been batting this
water
up.
hole?
Well,
Yeah. Well, I mean.
I'm gonna rent
Yeah.
Pendragon to present them there. And, it's funny, I was introduced to them and encouraged to come see them play at the Rusty Nail of all places, and they don't drink. There was 2 of them, and I noticed like, oh, it's alcohol, and they'd rather not play a venue with alcohol.
Okay.
And so that's going to be like 50% of the ask is to present them. We already have a date secured on September 30th.
Good.
And when I said serendipitously is they're asserting a category of, favoring applications that might tap First Nations program.
Sure.
So, I mean, it's still something I'm excited about doing, and
Right.
it just happens to check that box at the same time.
No. Well, we're happy to be
Oh, well,
part of your direction. Yeah.
I feel like it probably needs a motion.
Officially?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think it will go in the grant
Yeah, I think
application.
so.
I don't think it needs to be like a resolution, but just a motion that we.
Then I'll
support-
accept a motion.
That we support Peter Seward and his application to the 2023 statewide community re-grants program.
Second by Jason. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Carried. I guess it's official now.
Okay, thank you. There was one more thing, and that's, and I had sent you a template. There's an agreement between us and the grant administrator or the grant coordinator provides, just that kind of blank
That's what I
template.
get.
And, whatever you want to craft, if it's fine, just the way that's written, it just requires our signatures and for it to be current to this year.
Okay.
That's fine. Very good.
Okay, thanks. But too bad Jim isn't here, but he gets that in the sports community. I mean, Saranac Lake, still somewhat a sports community,
Oh, for
outdoor
sure.
recreation.
Right.
Based. The arts are an important component of identity, especially identity for Saranac Lake.
For sure. That's been branding for years now.
Mhm.
Saranac Lake, the arts. Well,
Thanks.
very good.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks for your consideration.
You bet. All right, moving on. Let's, under new business, I need a motion to reappoint Jamie Rogers to the Board of Assessment. And it certainly comes with thanks, of course, because every time it's time to re-up, he raises his hand. So I'll take a motion to reinstate Jamie Rogers to Board of Assessment for 5 years.
So moved.
Moved by Dick, seconded by Jason. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? No one. Carried. Just quickly, because we're gonna pick this up in April as well. Lori and I have been in conversation with a Mr. Brendan Mills, who's the caretaker out at John Brown Farm. And he's asking permission for, and I sent you all this information, on an acknowledgement plaque or stone, if you will, for what's that Epps' first name?
William,
William Epps Jr. And I think I sent the description of his involvement with John Brown. Lori actually searched better part of an hour through the whole part of the old cemetery. We didn't find any apple, but I did find out from Mr. Mills that this guy lost his first wife and ended up marrying someone in the Epps family, which is there in the late 1880s. Anyway, this Apple's father is buried in that tract. So they would like to commemorate the son by putting a stone at that monument as well. I don't know which way to go with this. This is a very old historic section of the site. It would virtually be the only new stone. I don't know if something can be made to meld in.
To make it look old.
To make it look
Yeah, but
old.
where, I don't understand where they're gonna put it.
well, my
It's a
thing is,
large stone
See,
and
that's-
there's somebody on either side of it.
so my question is, that's the point, what kind of stone? Because I was thinking if they put something, this size or a little bit bigger,
A plaque,
well, not, I mean, a stone,
right?
you know what I mean? So they're, it's not necessarily flat, but it's maybe 8 or 10 inches high.
But where would they put it? In front of the
They
big
put it in
stone?
front of the stone.
The stone is a monument, that's probably the size of a
This is-
person.
This is a photo of the stone we'd like for William Apple Jr. The dimensions are 13 inches wide by 3 inches thick by 42 inches long, so it's a headstone.
But that is, okay, that's the actual stone they want to use. I
Yeah.
wasn't confused, I thought that was,
And where would they put it? In front of the
The
monument?
father, I know.
I mean-
Anyway, he wants to come to the April meeting.
okay,
So I think for now, we need to postpone it till then.
Hmm.
But you gotta give this some thought because I have mixed emotions
This
on.
has been going on for 4 years, just so you know.
yeah, I'd like to also see, and, because I don't know it, but like you say, I'd like to see the stone that's in relation to it. The stone that's there now, or the monument, and everything. To put it in context.
So
I was going to say, if the snow's not gone by April, can we put it off till May? I'd like to look and see exactly where it's going.
And how would it look interacting with those other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He anticipates a commemoration over Memorial Weekend, but, that's wicked busy weekend anyway. It's the busiest weekend we have every year. People going to visit grave sites. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
And along with that, I sent you information from a Greg Furness. I think he works at the Minor Institute, who has been contacted by a not-for-profit organization to renovate and clean up all that whole old
Yeah.
section. That takes a special certification within the state. He's not even sure where they're gonna find that certified person. So that's still on hold as well, but we have 2 issues addressing that cemetery that we'll need to address within the next 2 months.
I think that's 1809 part of the cemetery, the original part of the cemetery.
Okay,
1809?
18,
I know I saw a lot of 1880s, 1870s.
I think it's 18, well, the cemetery
Yeah.
originally,
yeah, that's about right.
but like 1815.
And a lot of those stones, I think,
Yeah.
Some
are
are
laying down.
falling because they're crumbling.
Yeah, I think it's the 1815s.
But if you
Big
pick them
stuff.
up, it's just gonna crumble.
Okay,
Okay,
so anyway, we'll put that.
Cemetery is important to me.
As a matter of fact, my wife was saying just before I came here that there's a local couple in California on vacation touring cemeteries.
Mhm.
And she's going like, well, I said, yeah, I mean, I could see that historical
Sure.
perspective and everything, sure.
Okay, next thing will be kind of quick. I'd like to discuss this Miller's Way sign, which the sign and the driveway are on town, but all the landowners that are in dispute of what the sign name should be is on village property. So personally, I'm not in favor of saying no to the current sign, and I think I wrote you all a note as to why. I want to leave what's there up in case there's a 911 call or any type of emergency call, and let the owners go through the new process and determine what the new sign will be, at which time Kenny will put it up. But I don't think it's,
What liability, we've talked about this before.
yeah,
What liability do we have that because the sign itself, the lettering is incorrect? It has
because
an
of,
apostrophe.
because the apostrophe.
Yeah, that's illegal.
It's crazy that the county makes this.
I know, that's the first thing I thought. When he told me that, I'm thinking, well, wait a minute.
Yeah,
So that's my only question. I'm not saying we have to do it, but does it make us more liable because we have an illegal sign,
I'll
street
try to
sign?
remember to talk to Jim Dugan about it.
That's
on
right, you're
Monday.
gonna do that, that's right.
Yeah,
Because that's what, I mean, if we're not liable for it, leave it, just like you said, leave it.
let them go through the
But I just want to
process.
cover our butt
I-
and say, let's make that legal.
With the apostrophe.
What we call it, yeah.
I mean, if it meant painting over the apostrophe,
Or just have to make a new one.
right.
I don't think they would make a new one.
And the
Because
problem
they're
is that they
saying that
don't
it's
want
not-
Millers.
Yeah, that they wouldn't make a new one. The bigger problem is that they said that they're saying that Miller's is.
Right, I know, yeah, no. But I mean, we all, we passed it, the sign is there, you're replacing an existing one. If they don't, then we get the guys to go out and paint over it.
Right.
But I just want to know what our liability is there because.
I did talk to someone at Essex County 911 because I said, my first response to Kenny was, I'm not going to have someone take the sign down when we call 911, because there is a house out there,
It is.
and they say I'm on Miller's Way, and they don't know where Miller's Way is.
That's right.
So what the response was, it's everything as it is staying as is right now, that it's that property or whatever is Miller's Way.
Right.
But if we rescind it, once we notify the county, that address will change back to Mill Pond Drive.
Right.
And so there should not be a disruption in emergency
In
services.
identification.
Yes,
For sure.
because immediately it would be changed to 787 Mill
Yeah,
Pond Drive.
right.
And so it would still be,
Okay.
it would still be in the EMS system,
Okay.
just as a Mill
So
Pond.
do we
Drive.
need to make a motion to rescind as well?
Well,
No.
that's what they want us to do. Well, that's what the village wants us to do. I would say the county basically said, do whatever you think is best.
Yeah, and as Derek pointed out, I looked at a map a couple weeks ago, and the entrance to the driveway and maybe what? 30 feet? No, I think it's a little more than that, 30 or 40 feet is in the town. That's it. The bulk of the property, the vast majority of the property and the structure is in the village.
So it's those landowners in the village that have to agree upon the sign name.
Yeah.
And we don't have any jurisdiction over a village resident.
Right. Yeah, and like I said, my only point is I just don't want the apostrophe to come back and kick us.
I'll find out.
But we do have jurisdiction over, the 20 or 30 feet.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think it helps to rescind, we can do that right now. But the question is, who starts the new process? The residents on the road?
The residents do. I mean, our conversation with who Emily was referring to last Friday, she said the process would start all over again with the residents.
Right.
Yeah, and then it might not even need a road sign because there's not enough structures down there yet, or so, so it might just be consistently, always be Mill Pond Drive.
I got you.
With no notification, nothing?
Yeah,
out of
because
the-
I think there's only 3 structures down there or something, you need 4, so they just might be given, they already are given numbers, so the numbers are just on Mill
So
Pond
I'll
Drive.
find out both points.
Right.
And so this will come up again in April.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
maybe
sound
if you could
fair?
just ask someone at emergency services besides who we talked to, what they want us to do, because I have no intention of trying to make the county mad, it's just like, do they want us to rescind it and take the sign down?
Yeah, what are their thoughts?
Yeah.
What's their opinion?
I'll call Jim tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay.
I went this way, now put it back.
Do you want to talk at all about ARPA funding tonight, or do you want me to put that on work session or next, or April? There's no urgency, but I want to bring up the ecumenical food pantry again. and I want to talk about a utility and rent relief that we talked about with, like Keith Clark's group might be able to identify families that need some help. Anyway, I think I'll move that and
Okay.
we'll talk about it later.
Okay,
Well, didn't we I thought we decided the amount for the ecumenical food pantry. Let's just move it forward with that and then table the other one for.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Just
yeah,
the food
yeah,
pantry.
because that's, I mean, this is, both of those directions, both of those entries are what we were going,
Now,
what
one-
we
We
were going
already
for. anyway.
approved it last month,
Yeah,
the food pantry.
yes,
Also,
but we
So
got
we're
into a
rescinding
situation.
that.
We got a situation where there was some confusion on where the money should be allocated. We redefined that within the last month.
there's a working session that we do.
Yes,
We find out.
No,
I would recommend that we move on the ecumenical food pantry because I think we're all unanimous regarding that 5,000
there,
contribution directly.
and there's a reason I'd like to submit that I'm in support of it. You know, it's not so much a financial need right now,
That's the point, yes, thank you.
but we've all read in the news about SNAP and how many families are losing $100 a month.
Yeah.
That's crucial.
Yeah, and we never know, you know, let's roll it all together.
Right.
Climate change and everything and storm systems and everything.
Yeah,
We don't know.
every dollar of this will go to good.
Yes,
That's why.
whether it's tomorrow or next year.
Right,
So I'm confused. Are you?
No, we're saying it.
we're moving ahead.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
I'm just trying to
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
justify regardless of their status right now.
Okay.
Like they're solvent right now, but they take donations and put it aside for the rainy day.
And particularly, and I got thinking too, this is not this season we're in right now is not a high demand season. Your holidays and like that are.
Right.
So again,
Talking to
still.
Doug Lindy,
Yeah.
it's a 365 situation.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, I think
There's no joke, like, that's.
It's
like-
every day.
Yeah,
oh, yeah, it's every day. But I mean, they spend more money. They spend more of their money seasonally, you know, around the holidays. That's all I mean.
So I
Well,
guess,
there's a 365.
so I'm just confused. Are we going to cut the check for them now or?
I'm in favor of I'll make a motion that we cut the check for $5,000 for the ecumenical charity program.
A second.
Is there any further discussion? I don't have to do this by well, I think we probably should do it by motion.
That's what I just said.
Yeah. So you're making the
I made the
motion,
motion. Jason
you're
seconded.
seconding.
Yep.
No further discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. So I'll straighten that out with Kathy so that she fixes her records tomorrow. But I want to bring this up so we can talk further about ARPA funding in April.
With the other aspect of it.
Yeah,
Which is a need that I completely support and understand if we need subsequent conversation.
But it's also, you know,
Yeah.
it's a food.
but it will go a little deeper because utility and rent relief is going to take a little bit of money. You can't fix a problem with $5,000.
Well, and the thing is, this is through Keith, right? You said?
Well,
That's the thought process.
that's part of the thought process, but I don't want to forget families in need. That's why I'd like Keith Clark's system and St. Agnes to both be partners in identifying needy families.
And that's why I think we need that. We need information.
Yeah,
We need numbers. We need extent.
between now and April, I will get to both people, like Kathy Bemis.
Yeah.
Catherine,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I think we need it for the end of the month, for our workshop probably.
Right.
I guess
Yeah.
the only thing I would say is that, which I think we talked about in emails or at workshop, is that Keith Clark is connected to the entire pre-K 4.
Right.
Right.
And so that St. Agnes is covered.
As long as everybody's covered, that's all.
I mean, it would, yeah.
I mean,
It would not include, Keith would not be knowing about families in kindergarten, first and second at St. Agnes.
Right.
Right. So I think that would give, with both people, that would give us, if both those individuals can come and
Okay.
talk to us.
So I'll target that for, okay. every month I need to introduce a couple new items so that we have kind of a game plan. It's not like we have to write checks out from this money, but I need a pretty firm plan by the end of this year
Right.
that allocates virtually all of that money.
Yeah, because I believe, again, we had this discussion, I think we have to have it allocated by the end of next year.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah.
It has to be allocated by the end of next year.
Yep. Okay, along with, or do I put down, I need to talk about the LEAF grant and the Kubota. As y'all know, we're switching to event track. We already have the money from the LEAF grant of 39,000. The difference that we're gonna have to be responsible for is just shy of $6,000. I'm gonna suggest we take it from that COVID relief fund. Yep, but again, well, no, we should pass that tonight.
That's a motion.
Yeah. So I'll entertain a motion.
Hey, I'll make a motion that we,
Oh, you wanted the actual motion?
yeah. I make a motion that we change the parameters of the LEAF grant from the Kubota to the event track and take those funds that we previously received. And because of the difference of price, we, out of the ARPA funds, $5,925.20 so we can get this machine.
Second, Emily, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. No one opposed, carried. Okay, in our documentation, you all received the resolution wording on our town hall brickwork. And as you know, Kathy explained to us that we are in good enough shape fund balance wise that I'm quite sure we all agreed that using fund balance over bonding was the preferred way to go. With that being said, unless there's more discussion, I'll accept a motion.
Go ahead, say so moved, go ahead.
What do you want me to say?
He said it all, No,
Did you really say it all?
I
That
want to accept the resolution authorizing appropriation of funds from unassigned general fund balance to the town hall capital project.
I'll so move that.
Second.
All right, further discussion.
You need a roll call.
Oh, all right, good girl. Yeah,
That's why you get paid the big bucks.
yeah,
Oh, really?
How about the resolution?
all right, Rick,
Oh, you did,
roll
that's
call
right.
vote.
I,
Jason,
Aye.
Dick, Emily,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Good. Even though it's minor, but it may not be minor by the time we get the full report, this is for the 7 stages that are outlined in our current proposal for the brickwork. There are 2 of those 7 items that could be, I'm going to call them open-ended. 2 of them are to scope out what is actually going on. One is this long I-beam down the side here to determine how the water is getting behind to loosen up the bricks all around it, which could lead to more work. So really, fund balance is only covering the aspects of our current proposal.
Right, and it, like you said, and it covers that amount that we don't have to.
You all received budget adjustments, budget amendments, and really it's just 3. You'll notice one is airport equipment, the $6,199.99 was for push plow on the front of the bucket loader that got caught up. We had a major chain break that holds it in place, and the front plow twisted. We were lucky enough to find almost identical replacement in Plattsburgh. So the village actually went down and picked it up for us with their trailer. The only other.
And Rick, I know you haven't been here, but I checked, they didn't scratch the paint yet.
Yeah.
thank you very much for that. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And the 336, maybe I gotta ask the question. Did we sell that sand? that budget amendment? Oh, no, all she did was assign that.
That was,
unappropriated.
that was an accounting.
So really, it's just the $6,200. So I'll take a motion to accept the budget amendments. Jason, second by Dick. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. No one opposed, it's carried. Everyone signed the audits?
No, I still have to do that.
Okay, but I'll take a motion to accept them anyway.
So moved.
So moved by Dick, second by Jason.
Dick, can you put an X,
What?
can you put an X next to my name?
Sure, sure. Done. I'll make your mark.
All right, no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. No one opposed, that's carried. Any committee reports? It seems like we've talked about highway. I don't think.
Did everybody get to look at those pictures I sent for the signs?
Oh, yeah.
Right off.
I
Yeah,
saw that.
Approve what?
Equipment right
I
off
drove
that
by
she
it.
had to list.
yeah, yeah.
You talked about it at a workshop, but she wants it officially.
Oh, all right.
Running off the,
You remember the old computers and
Oh, yeah,
screens?
yeah.
Those
things you
three
said.
items?
Yeah, 3 or 4, whatever there was, yes.
All right, so who wants to make a motion to accept that? We threw
Write them off, throw them
Yeah.
out.
All right, Dick and Jason.
Yeah, so,
All in favor? Aye. No one opposed.
so what you think of the signs, Emily? Would you?
Yeah, I was gonna say that I feel like we should ask them to just redo that emblem in the composite material.
That's fine with me, and then I think we can have the highway guys or go out. Like I said, I think the white border needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Because if you're driving down the road, you can't see it, but if you get close enough, people are taking pictures, it's beat up pretty good, the white
Who are
border.
we gonna go to? Billy or?
I mean,
I think he does mostly composite.
I think
Our major signs coming into the community, the big ones that say site of the
Yep.
1932 80 Olympics, the big village insignia on them. Doesn't it say welcome?
yeah, those, that's
There's
basically,
3 of them.
there's 3 of them, but one maybe we might as well get it replaced.
Out near Price Chopper, that one?
That was the bad one, I think it
Yeah,
was.
that's,
Yeah, that was the worst one.
so who's gonna follow through to contact somebody?
Doesn't Dick sign it?
Oh, yeah,
I'll call Billy.
all right.
Or, well, let's put it this way, whose turn is it? As far as I can, maybe Laura doesn't, I don't know.
Laura did the last thing up front.
Yeah, Laura did the last one.
Okay. As we've said before.
We
we're
went
kind of-
airport.
See, Lauren, we share.
Yeah, we spread the wealth.
Every artist gets a turn.
Signers.
And then we can have just have the, we can have the highway guys or go out and just repaint the.
Right.
We should do that probably yearly.
Thanks
I
for
don't
being
know, I don't think
patient.
so.
You were up.
It's been a while.
You got any questions?
They know what that-
I don't have anything right now.
By the way, you got my text about getting hold of Linda Beers.
I did.
There are some really neat things that happened that I just didn't feel was for me to talk about. The dentist closing down.
Yeah.
I mean, you have enough now to write an article.
Yeah, we had to run just the article about the meeting, but I think I'm gonna do a follow-up article with Linda just to get the Department of Health perspective.
Good.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I tried to reach out to her today a few times and never got her, but.
Well, I was on conference with her for her quarterly report for
Oh, it's your
like
fault.
an hour and a half. In fact, right when you were trying to get a hold of me,
Oh, okay.
like 3:30 to 4:45.
Mhm.
All right. I guess all that's left now. No, I am going to ask for a quick executive session. I have 2 items under, let's see, one is
Yeah, I have one.
one is personnel.
It's short. No, under executive session. Personnel.
Yeah. What is this one? Yeah, personnel, period.
Okay.
7:15, much better than I was hoping for.
I'm so tired. I didn't get my copy done.
So moved.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Wait, motion.
Second. Rick did.
Rick,
Jason.
now you have to change the go to meeting.
I don't think there's any,
There's-
there's no interloopers on there.
Yeah, nobody else.
Yeah, but it's
Oh,
being,
I'll stop recording.
Yeah, stop
Sorry.
recording.
Yeah.
yes,
Here, Larry.
stop that.
I'm gonna go.